College Foundation.
Well, good evening, and welcome to another edition of Valley Black Talk here at KFCF, Free Speech Radio for the Central San Joaquin Valley, 88.1 on your dial. I'm Mel Sanders, and I'm lucky to have a couple of my co-hosts that are going to be joining me here in a bit. But this is the first Monday of March, and boy, I mean, it seems like yesterday it was Christmas, folks, and we're already moving into the new year, and in March, well, the winds are going to start blowing, and the rain came in and knocked off a lot of the blossoms on the trees. On the what is it? The almonds and all of those out there on that drive going out to Reedley. Man, you can see them all on the ground now. You could see the beauty on the trees before, but now with that wind and rain that came in last week, they're all on the ground. But it's something we needed. You know, the rain was something we'd been a lot of folks had been complaining about, and others had been praying about. So we did get some rain, and we're going to need some more. But this is Valley Black Talk here this evening, and we have a lot of things that we're going to touch bases on. Normally on the first Monday I'm here and I'm talking to some politicians about what they're going to be doing, or you know what are the plans for the politics of the city or for the state or for the county. But the season has not quite kicked off yet. It will be kicking off here shortly because I believe the filing deadline closes this month. So we'll know exactly who's going to be running and what offices they're going to be running for, so we can pick up on that as we move forward. But this evening, I think we have some issues that we're going to be talking about along with my co-hosts in the studio. And let me turn their mics on. Miss Julia Dudley N and Miss Jewell Riversmith is in the studio with me.
Hey.
Hello, ladies.
Hi.
Welcome. I am sure glad you guys are here. Oh, I'm sorry. That was my fault, Julia.
Oh, okay.
I didn't have your mic up, so now you're on.
Okay,
Everybody
so
knows
we're on now?
Yeah, you're on. I'm sorry. I didn't do it on purpose. Now, if I'd been Cato, well, maybe.
Oh, I already know Cato. He does it on purpose. I'm certain of that.
Hey,
But
he's not here to defend himself.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's listening, though. You know,
Oh,
he's one of those
gosh.
kind of guys that's,
And the thing is, you guys don't realize he will text me if we continue to talk about it while we're on the air.
Oh, he can spell? Oh, okay.
Oh, gosh. That was not me. That was Mel. Here we go. We're already getting started. Here we go.
But, yeah, I'm glad you guys are in. And this past weekend, Julia gave me a text, and some exciting things that were going on out at Fresno City College. And the more she texted, the more I was just going, wow. Wow. You kidding me? Really?
After that time, after a point, I had to get up and just call you.
Yes.
During the event, I couldn't believe it myself.
Why don't you kind of, if you feel like it, ma'am, bring us up to speed a bit on what happened over the weekend.
Sure.
And I don't know, we'll see how this flows. And what I was going to talk about, I can push that back for a little further.
Okay.
In the program, if need be, because I think this is extremely important. What you're getting ready to share with folks, they need to hear this, because this is something that happens all too often to us in our community by outside people who are not from within our community. So
And we just let it go, or
yes,
too much time passes by and we forget about it.
So bring us up to speed, ladies.
Sure. All right. So, and Jewell will be able to help me with this as well, right? Especially
Yes.
the information.
Yeah.
And the information I got today also from reliable sources. And again, as journalists, we never reveal our sources, but we can tell you they're certainly reliable. The fact that a lot of this stems from the State Center Community College District Chancellor, Dr. Deborah Blue, highly acclaimed, by the way, who came to this valley. And this all supposedly stems from her not hiring a supposed board member's buddy or friend, and this person happened to have a football coach background but did not have any higher administrative background, and he was not hired because he was not qualified.
So let's slow down. Let me ask the question now. All hiring for the State Center Community at Fresno City College is done by this individual, Dr. Blue?
Well, for the office that would be under her, in her whatever was in decided when it comes to those administrative positions underneath her, yes.
Okay, because I'm wondering if it's a football coach, and they want to get this football coach in the system, if you will.
Yes, because he was out of Reedley
Yeah,
and
so
was a
if they
friend of
wanted
one
to
of
get
the
him
board
in,
members.
why wouldn't they find another department to put it in? Why would they come to this particular department?
You have to go through the chancellor. She's the chancellor of the entire district.
That's what I was asking. So
Right.
that all the hiring is under this individual for the.
Sure.
Okay. All right.
This is well known, and right?
Well,
Oh, wait.
not necessarily.
Oh,
I
okay.
think upper management positions.
Okay.
There are positions that would not require a meeting or an interview with the chancellor, I believe. But when you get into upper management and administrative positions, that is where I believe she plays a part. And this was an upper management position.
Oh, I see. Okay, so this is why they wanted this person in management, in upper management.
Sure.
Okay.
As a result, a number, as you know, these are at-will positions, and like what you discussed with us yesterday, in regards to how that works as far as at-will, and hopefully we'll discuss that further on the program. At any rate, this was part of the issue and became an escalating issue, and other people that are within her staffing were working against her, they would communicate with the board in regards to anything that would somehow counteract the influence of Dr. Blue just trying to do her regular job as a chancellor.
Okay,
Anything to try to bring her down.
So can we translate that and kind of make it put it at the level that people like me can understand it?
Sabotage. It was direct sabotage
Okay.
from underneath.
It's like somebody works for me,
Somebody
and
works
then they
for
go
me.
to my boss about something I'm doing.
Yes.
And they do it behind my back and try to do it so that I get the bad
They
end
go
of
to
the
your
stick.
higher end boss to say, well, so and so is doing this, this, and this, and this.
Okay.
And or if they are not pleased with something, then they take it to the next level and say this, this, and this. So that
Or simply don't provide the kind of support, whether that's secretarial, clerical, schedule keeping, those kind of things that you need. You know, if somebody doesn't tell you about an appointment, you can't be there.
right.
So there,
Purposely.
there are
That's
different-
direct
yeah.
sabotage.
Okay.
And so unfortunately Dr. Blue was missing appointments and was not there and or didn't know about rescheduling of even the Wall of Honor event. She almost was not there. And so those are the type of things that were happening behind the scenes because of her staffing. And that part is very unfortunate. And also people that she hired are under fire right now. So
wait a
anyone
minute.
that came anyone that came
in
under her,
and she inherited a staff that was already there,
Correct.
correct.
and then she brought some additional people in.
She hired some additional people in.
Uh-huh.
Some of them I will just say a few of them happen to be African American, so they're
Okay.
catching the heat as well.
Okay.
Because in the particular board person's mind, well, how is it that you can hire them, but you don't hire who I want, whatever the case is? And this became a political issue of, I would say, personal differences. And this is a matter of personal differences. So the special meeting, there's been 2 special meetings that were called. There's one that was January 16th.
Yeah.
And if people want more details on this, because I know this is only a 2-hour program, there's some community comments online on our website at bbtradio.org, and you can actually watch it right now, watch the video, or watch it later on tonight.
Right.
Or if you don't have online, you can also watch it on TV, on Bounce TV. It's coming on coming on again tonight at 11. So from 11 to
So we got
12.
enough time to get home and get comfortable.
You got
and
plenty of
watch
time
it.
to get home to watch it again at 11
Okay.
o'clock, and you watch it at 12 o'clock. That way it's
Okay.
played twice, so people aren't missing the issues here.
Okay.
So the issue is, Mel, they had these special meetings, and when they're called, they're either the one agenda items, and what we clearly state in the video, and what you've seen, it says dismissal, and it clearly talks about the employee codes and all of those things.
Yeah. Which is standard when you're
Right,
talking
that
about.
part is standard.
Yeah, when you talk about going into executive session, those phrases are pretty traditional in terms of not being specific, so that they have the latitude in the back room to kind of cover themselves. and
Which
talk
they have
about
the right
whatever
to
they
do because it's a personnel issue.
Right.
Now, Go
I
ahead.
think it also has been somewhat disturbing that these special meetings were called on such short notice.
There
And
we
I
go.
understand
That's what I wanted to talk
that
about.
it is a special notice, but if you a special meeting, excuse me, but if you send out notice on Thursday afternoon, late afternoon,
Hoping nobody
for a
would get it.
meeting on Saturday,
at what time, Jewel?
8 a.m. It just. I realize it's a special meeting, but could you not have sent out notice on Monday or Tuesday?
Okay,
or-
now from the time that they sent the notice, that they posted the notice, was it 72 hours
No, it's
from the time
according.
that they had the actual meeting itself?
The meeting was at 8 o'clock, and it was
On
actually
Saturday
posted
morning, and it
Saturday
was-
morning. So and it was
what would
posted at
constitute
12:30.
70 hours? Somebody help me with the math. 24 hours is Friday. 48 would be
Thursday.
Thursday, and the email went out on
Thursday
I
at
received
12:30.
the email on Thursday. Yeah.
We were told it was posted at Thursday at 12:30 p.m.
Okay, so normally for a special meeting, according to the Brown Act, Robert's Rules of Order is what they conduct their business by. You need to post it 72 hours before you actually execute the meeting. So you can't, in other words, you can't post it at 3:30 and then have the meeting at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Well, then we need to
Because
check
that's
on
not
that because
that's not
I
72
checked
hours.
and I was told 24 hours. That's what I was
No,
told.
emergency meeting is 24 hours.
Oh.
Well, this
is
was an
considered
emergency
a
meeting.
It didn't say emergency.
Oh, actually, you're right. It said special.
Special meeting.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, special meeting, and then there are certain things that they can talk about at a special meeting that they can't talk about. That couldn't see. Special meetings are called for things like emergencies, like you had a flood or you had
Or
the
fire.
roof, something.
So they're taking advantage of the Brown Act in essence.
Basically, that's what they did. They found a way that if everybody doesn't know the rules, they simply will skirt by it and make it appear as though they've given it ample time to actually get what they want accomplished. But those are the kind of things that they have an attorney. I'm sure
They do have an attorney.
And they usually can keep those people pretty much, in line in terms of making sure that those things are legal. You can't just, just post a meeting and say, oh, we want to have a special meeting and then, without proper notification. I mean, there are certain things you have to go by if you want to do something like that.
And perhaps those were also the concerns.
I think those were some of the process concerns that many of the community members who spoke, I think that is what they were speaking to, concerns with the process and how this is being carried out.
And in other words, if there's an issue that you're dealing with and it's not something that can't wait to a regular meeting, even though it may be an executive session, you're really targeting somebody, and you could really put yourself in a position to be liable.
That's
because
what the point is.
If that person's name is leaked in terms of who you're trying to go after, if you will, and they suffer behind that, they can turn around and sue you because you didn't follow protocol.
Which is another reason for concern.
That was the other reason, and it was addressed through the community, concerned citizens that spoke out. They were very
good,
very verbal about how they felt.
Is this something that's going to be on the TV tonight?
It's been on there since Sunday night.
Okay, so I can see
some of it. You can watch it
Okay.
again tonight. All the comments are on there even tonight. We had to cut some down because you only got a few hours of TV. But for the most part, everyone's direct comments in regards to the concerns that they had were in there. And all the things we're talking about.
I just have to say here, for everybody listening, we really owe a debt of gratitude to On Me and to Anne Marie Pro TV for being there before the meeting started and staying there until well after the meeting was over. The footage that you will see when you check it out on the website is the most comprehensive footage. You can't get it better from any of the major media stations here. We all owe them a debt of gratitude because we would not have the breadth of footage that we have or information that we have about the whole thing had Julia and her crew not been there.
Okay.
So huge thanks to them.
And I really like that too, because now it gives us something to build on here on Valley Black Talk in terms of talking about the whole process of how they did that. And I'm going to tell you, most institutions like that are not real careful in terms of I-dotting and T-crossing when they're upset and angry. They may forge a little bit, but because of the fact that people were there and they were stepping up talking about this, I would venture to say that the legal people were telling them, folks, you may open yourself up for a lawsuit because, in fact, it was not, the 72 hours that we're required to do for a special meeting, and it's not,
Well, they called another special meeting, though, today, and that went out at 3:46. I can tell you the exact time it went out. And that was sent via...
But when it went out and when it was posted, it's two different things.
Okay.
So you have to post them within a certain period of time.
So I wonder if the one for today was posted in a certain amount of time. That's a good question.
And what does posted mean, and how do you know?
Well, there's a normal site. If you don't post it in the newspaper or on your website, there's usually a spot someplace on the campus there where they have an administrative office or something like that where they post the agenda on a regular basis.
Okay.
And that's normally how they post them so that folks can You know,
So it could be posted, let's say, on the bulletin board
mhm.
hours before the email goes out, and
Exactly.
that counts because it was posted.
Yes,
Okay.
that's what, it has to be posted at a certain time. That's what the law says.
So
You have
far,
to
it's
post
not on the Board of Trustee calendar, I guess because it's a special meeting.
Mhm.
The other meetings are not on there as well, so I want to point that out. They just have regular meeting, 4:30 tomorrow, and they have board retreat. Trustee meeting notes, as far as that goes, when you go to that page, it just has from February 18th, and it talks about the people that participate at the regular meeting, February 18th. So I don't know where they post it. Maybe
Okay.
it's
When they, maybe I'm cutting in too soon here, but I'd like to know what they reported out of closed session when they came back out to report to the public. Because if there was, and they could simply say there was no action taken, and that would suffice it if that was the case.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious, what was there anything said at all to the public that was still there?
says
Because
now
they have
we
to
are
go back into open session. Once you go,
That's what they
you have to
did. They came back.
reconvene to open
Well,
session.
they came back to open session after much what appeared to be purposeful confusion
Right.
about whether they were coming back.
That's on the
One
video too.
of the community members had to repeatedly ask, and then another person even stood up for clarification and asked again, are you actually coming back to this room? Don't you have to come back to this room
Mhm.
and
Report out what you did
report
back
out
in the back. Yeah.
and then close? Because originally what we were told, as I understood it, was when they were finished, they would close in the room they were in and they would leave. And
Yeah.
and that was said repeatedly by the board chair until people questioned, but wait a minute, I thought that this, and don't you have to do it this way? And then finally, after considerable questioning, it was agreed that they would come back to the room that the public was in. So again, these are the kinds of behaviors that are concerning to people.
Because they waited there for I'd say 4.5 hours
Yeah.
or more, 5 hours,
Okay.
to hear the board come back and say we are now in open session and we are now,
Clerk will
this
now
meeting is
read-
adjourned.
yeah.
And that's
Oh,
it.
But no. They have to do more than that. They have to tell you what action was taken or was not taken when they were in closed session. You can't just open the meeting up and say that's it.
Well, I believe they did say no action was taken.
Yeah, they've got to say something.
Well,
I
we'll
have-
have to look at the
I-
video.
I'm a little-
at the break, I'll
Yeah.
check and see what they
Okay.
said. That's the
Yeah.
beauty of having the internet.
Yes.
And the video's already up there. It's on our website, vbtradio.org.
Yeah, yeah.
And people can call in. People that were there, 559-266-8888. Again, that's 559-266-8888. And you are listening to Valley Black Talk Radio here on 88.1 FM KFCF.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Thank you, Julie.
Oh,
Boy,
sorry.
You good. You good.
said every
I like
15
you.
minutes, so I'm
man,
trying to
I don't
make
have to-
I follow directions,
but,
Mel.
it's please do call in. Those folks that were there, if you have an interest or you're concerned about the because I think this is a much broader issue than just this one particular employee.
Right.
And I think that
There's
there
more.
needs to be some accountability for people that we elect to serve us to be what word am I looking for? The harbors of justice, if you will, when it comes to taking action appropriately in the situation that they set. You know,
Right.
if you're board members, there's a responsibility that comes with that. And if a dismissal and those kind of things fall within your responsibilities, there needs to be a way that you're accountable to the people who elected you, so that they feel comfortable that you're doing the right thing for the right reasons. And I can tell you that's a rarity because most elected people rely on their administrators to give them the guidance so that, to keep them out of trouble or to make sure that, we did things by the rules.
And this time it's the opposite. They're actually over over the administration. But what people don't realize, and that's why we put that organizational chart in the video, is that the citizens come first and are pretty much over the board. And then it's the board. And then it's the chancellor. And then it's the cabinet. I wanted people to see that.
Well, yeah, and I like the way you put that in place because you're right. The board members can't get to be board members without the citizens.
Right. And
And
this is
so,
on the website.
yeah.
If you go to the SCCC, that's 3C.D.edu/index, you'll see that all that information is there, all the stuff that I got, even down to their goals, what their 2013, 2014 goals were, all their meeting notes, all of those things. And that's what I scanned and had to really go through, and I can definitely go through all those areas if you want after the break, as far as whose term is up. And
we really need to know those kinds of things. I think those are very important because this is election time.
That's right.
And this is where the public has the most influence. Because I've said often on my programs, politicians love those positions. They love being recognized and being invited to things that they don't have to pay for, and be patted on the back for and with that comes some. And maybe we'll talk about this a little more too. Some favors, if you will, because of the fact that you are a board member or in a position of influence. People will, a lot of times will maybe go outside of the norm of what they might have done to make sure that they look after the folks who sit in those seats, to make sure that when the budget time comes, that when it's my department that you're going to talk about, well, I don't think I'll cut old Joe's budget this year because we've been working together as a team, so maybe we'll overlook that cut or make it a little less this time around for old Joe. So those kind of things happen all the time. I mean, that's.
But do you believe in term limits? Because that's another issue that I have with this particular Board of Trustees.
Absolutely not. No. We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Did you just say not? You do not believe in term limits?
Absolutely. You just said the term limits. When you laid out the schematics of how this works, the public, they set the terms. And if you're not doing a good job, the problem is that nobody knows what they're doing.
Right.
See, once you understand what they're doing or what they're supposed to be doing, now you can hold their feet to the fire. You can demand accountability. But if you don't do that, no. Term limits is what got Sacramento messed up right now. They were so angry that Mr. Willie Brown kept getting reelected over and over again. So the only way that they felt like they could get rid of this is to change the rules and say that we're going to have term limits. And now
but this is not handling Sacramento. You're talking about handling a staff and faculty of 3,000 people. There's term limits, and the reason why is because, Mel, and this is coming from an educational standpoint, people get comfortable. And when you get too comfortable, you're not in tune with the generation that's upcoming. You're not in tune with some of the changes that need to happen on a university, collegiate level.
So how do you fix that?
I do believe in term limits.
Beyond term limits.
But term limits has to be a part of it because people get so jaded and they get too comfortable. In education, you can't be comfortable. Yes, you're talking to somebody. Okay, well, here come the disagreements.
I say the problem is compound. The way you change it, whether term limits or not, we all have to be paying more attention. Because if you don't have term limits, you have people that go on and people just voting for them. Oh, I recognize that name.
There it is.
Check that box. We need to be paying
Distinguished
a
gentlemen.
lot more attention. And since we don't, I'm fine with Julie.
Term limits.
We maybe need
and
term
I was about to
limits.
say that.
No,
because
you know who runs the asylum then? The administration. That's who runs it when you have people who don't know what they're doing and they know their time's going to be up. They're not going to learn what they need to know about the job. They'll simply say, okay, Mr. Supervisor or President or Superintendent or whomever, tell us what we need to do.
So, Mel, this whole thing needs to be revamped because sometimes those board retreats are just to have a vacation. It's not going over the educational of what they should be doing in the roles.
I disagree.
The roles on the board. That is key because why are all these problems happening? And some folks have been on there for years.
Right.
So, they have all these board retreats to help them have an education. It is their fault.
No, it's not their fault.
In regards to a board retreat, it has a big part of it.
And it shouldn't be.
But it's going to keep being that way.
Yeah, so you just destroy the whole. Retreats can be very beneficial.
Sure they can.
They can be.
Yes.
But
so
I
you don't
think
throw
they're
the baby
taken
out with
for
the bathwater.
granted. Well,
you fix it
I'm
so that
not
it's
saying get rid of the
effective.
board retreats. I just think that they're being taken for granted. They're not really
the
processes and the positions that they should be able to.
I can guarantee you that if you looked at their agenda for their board retreat, it's going to be around something that's very significant.
I'll tell you in a minute.
But whether or not it gets to that is something different.
That's
but I'm going to tell
point.
you
so how do you enforce that? How are citizens going to be able to enforce that?
Well, even though it's a retreat, it's still a public meeting.
What?
I don't think it is.
Oh, yes, it is.
The public is not. We're not invited to.
We're not invited.
You may not be, but they cannot stop you from coming. There's a public meeting.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
They don't post where the retreats
yes, they
are
do.
and where
yes, they do. It's on the agenda. They have to approve that because they're going to spend some money. So it has to be approved by that board that we're going to spend money. What are you spending for? And they'll lay it out what it's spent for.
Oh, we really do have a lot of homework to do.
See what I mean?
Because I'm telling you.
So how are we going to re-educate citizens? We are the
have
citizens.
to we start like we're doing now. We have to share what we know now about the process. And they cannot keep a citizen from coming to one of their retreats if they want to come as an observer. Now, they may not be able to take part in the meals because they'll say that's a gift of public fund or something like that. And they can't pay for their hotel expenses.
Sure.
But in terms of the actual workshop, what they're going to be involved with, they have the right to be there.
Wow, thank God for Mel. See,
I'm about to go on some retreats.
Because it doesn't make you a very popular person if you're not, one of the good old boys. They're going to be, but you know what that'll do? That'll make them very careful about what they say and what they do, and they'll stick to the agenda of what the purpose is that they're there for.
And that's all I ask for. Be very careful and remember that you represent me. You're not on that board to represent yourself and your cronies. And you know what? And I want to say this about the political favors. I think as adults, we all understand that there's some greasing of the wheel, and you scratch my back, I scratch yours. I think we get that. If you have someone who you want in a position, whether you're the president of the United States or the president of the board or whatever, and they are qualified for the position, and they have helped you get where you are, I really don't have any problem with that. It is a different story when you're talking about putting Michael Brown as the head of FEMA.
Right.
Okay. So, I think we all. It's not simply that you want to put someone in a spot. Put someone who's qualified.
Exactly.
Well, maybe after the break we'll really tackle number one. I have the board retreat notes from the last board retreat.
You're looking at that? Is that on the website?
Yeah, everything's on the website.
She knows where to find everything. I searched all last night.
I'm going to put the link. I will put the link on the VBTradio.org site. That way people know where to go to. And then maybe after the break, I can at least give you guys some insight, what they talked about at the retreat, and also the different board of trustees, their areas, what they're in charge of.
Yeah,
and that way it gives
be very
people
interesting. I'd like to know that. I'd like to know where they, what geographically where they serve, those ones that are coming up for election this time around.
Gotcha.
Because we may know some folks in that area.
Yeah, and then we have to talk about the meeting because that was just so interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to talk about that.
You're listening to Valley Black Talk here at KFCF. We're going to take a brief break, and then we're going to be right back. If you have a friend or a neighbor that would like to join this conversation, as I see on the internet, folks are listening, please call somebody and tell them to tune in. And we're back here for the second segment of Valley Black Talk at KFCF, 88.1 on your dial. Free speech radio for the Central San Joaquin Valley. I'm Mel Sanders, along with Julia Dudley N and Jewell Riversmith. And boy, I got it right this time. We're back, guys. And
yes, we're back.
We have an interesting conversation here. Phone ringing. I had a caller. I saw the phone ring out there too, huh?
Yeah.
Man, I think we struck a nerve because folks are wanting to hear more about the process, how it works, and exactly what's going on. What do we think is going to happen at tomorrow's meeting? So,
well, and before we do that, I said I would check the video at the break. And Chair Patterson said, folks, now we are opening up. We are now in the open session. And he didn't say anything about no action taking. He said there's nothing to discuss. So I don't know if that's the same thing.
Okay.
He said there's nothing to discuss. Meeting adjourned.
Yeah, that's I wouldn't have chosen those words if I had been the clerk.
Well, it's on video.
Was it the clerk or the president? Chair.
He's the chair.
Yeah, see, I would have found some other words that there was no action taken or something like that. Say
That
there's
was
nothing
not said.
discussed. That kind of sounds like you could interpret that to be escating the issue. You know what I mean?
And that's
People-
exactly how, that's
it was
exactly how
that's
people
how I
felt.
interpreted
That's
it.
how people interpret it.
So, that maybe whoever their legal folks are, maybe someone needs to contact them and say, hey, listen, you could help do a better job of helping them because they're paying them a lot of money. Believe
Right.
you me, when those attorneys are sitting there, I don't know, were there attorneys at this meeting?
There was one attorney, the
I
board's
was
attorney.
told, yeah.
We
Yeah,
told
they're
them.
getting big bucks for being there. They're getting paid by the hour.
On a Saturday?
Oh,
Uh-huh.
yeah, they're getting paid real good to come in and to not give
so
any
we're
better.
paying that, right?
Oh yeah, that's out of taxpayer dollars.
That's
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
thought
That's not
so.
out of the president doesn't have a personal account. Those come out of taxpayer dollars to have somebody there to keep them straight and legal. And if that's the best they can do, then they need to hire me. And I'll do it way cheaper than that.
No, Mel, we need you. You cannot cross over. You are not allowed.
Mel, before we get deep into it, there's a caller that just because they wanted to note that we didn't talk about any upcoming events. We apologize. And so,
Oh
caller,
yeah, we jumped right in. I got
Yeah, I
one
know.
too. Yeah, okay, yeah. This phone's been ringing. You know what? That's a good thing. They listen.
right?
Yeah.
that is
So
their listener.
yeah, okay. Thank you for keeping us straight, folks.
No problem. And so, Jill, do you want to say that
Yeah,
announcement?
there is a meeting tomorrow, Tuesday, March 4th at 5:30 p.m. at Sunset School. This is regarding the chemical storage facility, huge, apparently, chemical storage facility that's been proposed for the location of Hughes and Nielsen Streets. And so if you're in this community, if you live near Hughes and Nielsen, in fact, if you live anywhere in Fresno,
yeah.
you might want to attend this. If you're not going to the meeting, the State Center Community
Which is
College
tomorrow.
District meeting at Reedley, which is tomorrow
At 3:30. Yeah.
at 3:30,
Okay.
and then going into the regular meeting at 4:30. If you're not attending that, you might want to attend this meeting regarding the proposed chemical storage facility.
What kind of chemical storage are they talking? Well, we'll get back to that.
Yeah.
We got a little time. I want to hear a little bit more about that chemicals. What kind of chemicals are they trying to store?
That's a
in
good
that area?
question.
Yeah.
Did they say the type of chemicals?
No, he didn't. Unfortunately, I was.
Trying to
He
prepare.
had more information, but I was trying to get my headphones back on.
Okay.
So.
Was that our good buddy that was calling? Okay, yeah, he'll call back.
Okay.
And then another announcement is Thursday, March 6th. It is the opening for Stitches from the Soul. That's that quilting exhibit we were talking about. That's at the African
For the
American
museum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks really nice. Those ladies did a fine job.
I just love the flashback of that
Oh.
of my grandmother and a bunch of old ladies like her sitting
It
around
looks
doing
really
that quilting
nice.
and talking and
Okay.
sharing some of those stories.
Yes.
Now, is it all ladies?
That's
Well,
what I remember.
I'm
That's-
just asking because my father quilts,
All right.
Okay.
and he's very good at it.
Go ahead.
So if there's a man out there, you might,
you
who
wanna
quilts.
have-
We're
yeah.
not. We're equal opportunity. If
Well,
Okay.
okay, for this particular exhibit, it's featuring Wanda Carter, Jimmy Rogers, and Sharon Carter. And the event, it's free to the public, and it's on that Art Hep night. There's a whole reception and everything. And, of course, we'll be covering that on our channel like we do. And then also on our Valley Black Talk Radio website that looks like Central Valley line dancing classes. Somebody wanted us to announce. It is Saturday, March 8th from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Old Time Clovis, located on 2459 North 10th Avenue. Oh, excuse me, not Clovis. Old Time Company. It's located on 2459 North 10th Avenue in Hanford, California. And that was by Conscious Paula. And there's a cost to the class, but if you look at our website, you'll be able to find that on our calendar. So those are the announcements that I have for this week that are posted to our calendar. All right, so I guess we'll go back to the discussion. And I know people want to know the process, and I do want to make sure I give people information on this website, and I will at the top of the hour go ahead and put that link so people can get to this State Center Community College District so they can find all the information that I've found and be able to have more insight. I don't know if you want me to go over the different area representatives or the Board of Trustees. I'll do that.
That would be good if you can give us the geographic
Yeah.
locations so we kind
Certainly.
of have an idea of who's up this time around.
Gotcha. So Isabel Barreras, she was elected Board of Trustees in 2002, and she represents Area 1. Her current term of office is until 2014. And so that's where her particular area is. Again, it's Area 1. And that covers from, I think it's Madera District Board. Yeah, so it covers the Madera area because they have a map here.
Okay.
And so it kind of goes over the whole, and I sent that to you all, but I know y'all didn't have time to look at
Not today. I didn't. If you sent it to me today, I didn't even get a chance to go on my email list today.
All right. So looking at the trustee area map, It's a lot of course, Madera County and Fresno County areas, but a big majority of the Madera County area as you look
Okay.
at the map and the borderline. And as I blow this up, I think so. Her term would be up then, right? That would be an example.
So
'cause-
she will be
Yeah, she's up
going
for
for
re-election.
re-election.
Right.
So, but what is it? Is it part of Fresno County too?
Yes, part
Probably
of
the
Fresno
north-
County.
north,
If you look
uh,
at like Auberry, Shaver Lake, Big Creek,
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Friant, Rolling Hills, those areas.
Okay.
For,
And what is
anyway.
her name again for that area?
Isabella Barreras.
Can you do something? Well,
What?
No, that's
Don't
okay.
say the
I
name?
don't want to. No. I just.
Isabella
yeah.
Barreras.
Okay. Yeah.
What were you going to say about the name?
Nothing about the name. I'm
Oh.
just political. You know, I love politics. I want to know how many votes did she get the last time she ran?
I don't know that, but I know that her background is she either was a classified employee.
Yeah, she was
or
a Madera Unified.
classified-
Yeah.
yeah.
She
So
worked at Madera Unified.
so
That-
ostensibly she is kind of the voice. Well, obviously she's the voice of the community, but
Right.
she does have a speciality, if
Well,
you will.
she has a Bachelor of Arts in
classified.
Liberal Studies, and she earned her Master's in Public Administration from National University in 2008.
Okay.
And she is a president of the California Latino Association of Community College Trustees.
Okay.
And she also serves on the board of directors for the California Community College Trustees, of course, what this is. And she was appointed in 2003 by Governor Gray Davis to the Madera 21st A District Fair Board of Directors.
Okay.
Vice President of Madera Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. That gives you enough information.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's Isabel Barreras. And so that's the area one. The I'm hearing some silence. I don't know.
Yeah,
We're
because I
listening.
want to know how she vote.
And writing.
You're telling me all of that. Didn't you tell me all about all the credentials? But you don't need any of that to be
So-
on the board.
Okay. There are particular board members. That's why I say there's these term limits. There's areas of contention with some of these board members and what was going on. And I can only go by what I was told. And it is perhaps a possibility that she could have been one of the board members that was in contention with the staff secretary, Nina Acosta. I think that was also the chancellor's secretary, who was also the board secretary. And there's an area of contention there.
Mm-hmm.
What we were told during the meeting, and we can bring that up because someone came and told me, said, hey, that Nina lady is texting the person inside the board during the special meeting. I said, okay, well, I don't know if that's legal or not.
I
But they
see
were in a
that.
closed session.
Yeah.
And so there were some concerns about that.
That is concerning.
Yeah. And so a number of people were saying that because they were listening to the conversations, what was going on, because that individual was watching what was going on in the other room and reporting back to the closed session.
Well, I would let you know that people are still here, huh? That kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that kind of stuff. That's really illegal. You can't do that. And
Oh,
if you
okay.
do that,
Well, that's what's happening.
if you got a third party that's not authorized to be in the executive session, and yet they're connecting with people who are inside the see. One of the worst things you can do is text, because you know what?
They
That-
don't go away.
That's right. And time is stamped right on it.
They can be
who-
tracked.
Yeah. So maybe well, when you're fighting, you don't want to tell all you.
No,
you
you
but,
don't, but-
but I know they're listening because I'm watching those numbers over there, and I know people are listening because they're hearing some things that they were, just to see how much help somebody might be able to call on.
Right.
So they
Yeah.
they listen to see what's going on the other side.
I can see you. I hear you on that one.
Okay, so who else? Who's next?
The other one was Richard Caglia, and he's part of Area 7. And I'm sure people are familiar with the Caglia family.
Yeah, Electric Motor Shop. They've
Yeah.
been around here for generations.
Generations. So he works with the family in their Fresno-based business, and his term of office was up until 2012. So he just recently went through election. So wouldn't he have 2 more years or another
No,
year?
no. Only people who are up for election are up in 14. It would tell you clearly.
Oh, yeah.
2014.
Okay.
All of
Well,
those
he's
were-
not at 2014, but he's Area 7. So,
Okay, so
the
he-
next person that is up is, I don't want to, I apologize if I messed the name up. I'm so sorry. But I know he's up for re-election. Ronald H. Nishinaka.
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 Okay.
And his term is up in 2014. And he is the vice president of this board of trustees.
Okay.
And his area, and let's see. Oh, just give you a little bit of background. He was a retired faculty member from Reedley College. He taught horticultural for 37.5 years. Actually, it's 37 and a half years.
Mhm.
Vice president. He's also served in Reedley community as mayor pro term, and city council member for 2 terms. chairman of Fresno County Southeast Regional Solid Waste Commission, which included Fowler, Kingsburg, Orange Cove, Parlier, Reedley, Sanger, Selma, and 2 county supervisional districts. And he, when we look at his area, Area 4, and that's again is Area 4. So people in Area 4, as I look at the map, look at all these geo layers. We got part of Squaw Valley. We've got Orange Cove area, which I think I just talked about the Orange Cove area. Or
Reedley.
mentioned, and Reedley, of course.
Sanger.
You got Parlier. You've got Sanger. All of those more rural areas is what we're talking
That's
about.
kind of more in lines of the Judy Case County Board of Supervisors area too, huh?
Yeah, I would say it is. I would say so. So his term would be up. So far we have the Area 1 and then the Area 4 that would be up. Next we have, as I'm just going over the people whose terms that would be up.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Okay. And I think there was one more. Not him. Oh, Dorothy Dottie Smith. She's the secretary of the State Center Community College District Board of Trustees. Her background includes, of course, a graduate of California State University, Fresno, educational administrator for Fresno Unified School District. She is also serves as, or nationally, Ms. Smith serves as a director at large on the board of directors of the Association of Community College Trustees. Previously, she served on the board of directors for the California Community Colleges and then statewide legislative education conference committees for California Community. Her area is Area 5. Area 5, oh, is it that small? Area 5? Okay. Small, but I gotta scroll down to see what area that is, because it's really hard to see. It seems like it would be, of course, Fresno, Kalawa area.
Okay.
And gosh, it's like on the outskirts. Let's see. I gotta scroll in, y'all. Fresno, it's on the borderline of Fresno, Kalawa, and that 99 area, and she basically has the brunt of the Fresno area, because area.
So maybe Central Fresno
to
over
Kalawa.
to the Clovis area.
No, not Clovis at all. Area 5, right? Not Clovis at all.
So
It's
all
a
of
small.
Central
It goes
Fresno.
from Kalawa to Fresno, just borderline on Mayfair, and not Clovis at all.
So yeah, Central Fresno. The
Yeah.
Mayfair is over off McKinley and First, or in that area there. And
Sure,
then,
and that's where it has it. I mean, on the outskirts of where her area is, you'd have Clinton, California Avenue, those particular areas, like you
Okay.
said, and up to those areas.
Interesting. Now, if maybe at the next break we could check that, if you would, since you have the internet capability. we could look at the county elections office and see the last time those 3 people ran.
All right.
What was the vote count? So
Yeah.
that kind
Okay.
of gives you an
Yeah,
idea.
we need to talk about the last time they ran, because I got something to say.
Well, what can't you talk about that now? About the last time they
Anything you
were?
want to talk about?
Oh, okay. I thought we were going to break.
No, we got
it's
time.
only
I was-
8:47.
I
was
am
giving
so
her-
not
But we
used.
will say that people are listening to Valley Black Talk Radio
Radio.
here on 88.1 FM KFCF, and we'd love for you to call in. I know you might be listening, trying to get the information. That's okay, too. The number to call in is 559-266-8888. Again, that number is 559-266-8888. Don't be afraid to call in.
With
I was
Mel-
going to say there is a certain amount of anonymity with the phone folks. So if you
And
want to tell us your name is Tina when it's
Yeah,
Jan,
Mary Jane. Yeah,
we're
yeah,
we're
you're
okay
welcome
with
to
that.
do
We
that.
don't care.
We understand it's a sensitive issue.
It is
if
very
you're,
sensitive. And some people might be worried
but
about
we
their
do
jobs.
want to hear the community's voice.
Right.
The last time that there was board elections, there was a candidates panel at Fresno City College, and only the candidates that were running for seats showed up. Some
Okay.
of the candidates that should have been there defending their seat didn't bother to even respond to the invitation, and none of them came to appear. Now, I think that says a lot.
That
How
does say a lot.
comfortable are you
Here
in
we go
your
with the
seat?
term. That's why I have the term limit.
Yeah, when you get invited to participate in
Yes.
a panel and talk about who you are as a candidate and what you hope to accomplish
Too comfortable.
with the next term you hope to have,
Way too
and
comfortable.
you don't even bother to show up.
Did they
Only
win?
the challengers, they did.
Okay,
and
well,
that's
that's
what
why.
I'm saying. Right, but,
That's why
but
they didn't
again,
come.
another example that people, community, you need to be
Thank
paying
you.
attention.
That's it. You know the old saying, it's better to say nothing, say nothing and be thought a fool, than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. Well, they won, so they know.
Right.
The name of the game
That's
was
true.
just hey, don't say anything, don't show up. But that's a community problem, though.
Well, you
that
know
is
what?
something that the community needs to say. Look, we need to know. See, most people don't even vote in that area.
Yeah.
It's done by, well, like you said, popularity. Oh, I know that name. Oh, I know that name. Oh, I know that name.
Mm-hmm.
Not by what the actions that you've done. It's just, by the name of that individual. So I think it rather than limit me of having someone that has the ability to serve and do a great job for us. Wake up, community. Let's
and I
prod the
agree.
community to say, look, folks, we got to do a better job of selecting people and staying on top of them so that they do the job we elected them to do. Most of them, like I said earlier, the people that actually do the work for them are the administrators. Those folks, those staffers, they're the ones that do the actual work, and they pretty much know when they're going to be, they know the job better than the people that are sitting in those chairs.
You better get that, because we don't want to be blamed for making sure
Yeah.
that Valley Black Talk Radio doesn't answer the phone. We definitely do answer the calls, and we want to make sure. Is that a separate caller? Oh, I think
No,
we got
I think
that
that's-
one.
yeah.
Okay. And we definitely do want you to call in 559-266-8888. 559-266-8888. These are important issues, and we are citizens, and we
Very
vote,
important.
and these are where our monies are going. So it's important
And
to
while
discuss
I
this.
agree with Mel on the, I agree with you that to me term limits are a good idea.
To me, term limits
I
are a
agree with
must.
Mel that people need to be paying attention, and you get the government that you want. But I still
But people are
say
not paying attention. That's the very
That's-
problem.
exactly. But they need to be. They should be. But they're not. So you need something to address the fact that they're not. But
Sure.
I still say, while it is the community's responsibility to pay attention and to know who you're voting for and to show up, I still think that simple common courtesy would have been to show up as an elected administrator.
I agree.
They were, as of that moment, they were still representing the people. And they should have shown
So
up
they should have
for the
showed up.
panel
I
and
agree.
said, here's who I am.
Because that's what's going to educate the community in the first place.
Exactly.
But it's not. You see, it's not their sole job to do that. We have a responsibility as community folks to tell on them
To hold
what
them
they don't
accountable.
do when
but
they
but
don't
it's
show
not
up.
about job. It's not about job. I'm saying it's a common courtesy.
Of course. But that tells you
I
that they
feel
shouldn't be back there.
slighted
Yeah.
that they didn't show up.
Which is the reason if people knew that,
Yeah.
just based on that alone, we'll make sure that they're not elected. But see, they count on the fact that nobody's going to tell. That's kind of like the
Yeah.
tree making it falls in the forest doesn't make a noise.
Hence
If
the reason
nobody
why we
hears
have
it-
KFCF Radio and Valley Black Talk
Exactly.
Radio. I'm
And
just
bounce, see, we use all of our medium to get the word out there so that folks understand. But I think we have to take it one step further than that. These areas, these trustee areas, should be meeting with their public. Like city councilman people meet with their people in their districts, and they have district meetings.
Do
we
they?
Need to, yes.
Not mine.
I beg
Oh,
to differ. I
boy.
think they do. I
Okay.
think all of them have meetings. They may not post them as what may not be as well known as you might like for them to be. But if they're city council member, yeah, they got.
I would. That's a whole nother subject we can get
Yeah.
into. Because I'm always thinking, you know what? I see Oliver in lots of places, and I feel connected to Oliver.
Right.
Oliver is not my representative, but he does a very good job,
does a good
of
job
being
being
out in
everywhere.
the community and being accessible.
Right.
I sure would like to know where my representative is.
Well, I'm sure if you call his office, they'll give you a schedule of when he has community
Okay,
meetings.
and that's not unreasonable. However, since they are so good at putting those yard signs up all over the place when they're running, it does seem like they could buy a billboard. Here's when we have the next town meeting, or give me
That's
a
a good
yard
point.
sign that says, "Here's our schedule." You know where they are,
Or put it
when
on the
it's
Valley Black
election
Talk
time.
Radio community calendar.
Yeah, but I think they got it on their websites. I think if you look at their websites, you'll find where they're meeting and when they're going to meet.
Well, I'm
Well,
sure.
I'm on the website, so I haven't seen that yet, but I'll let you know when I come across that.
Of who?
Yeah,
You
and
said
I'm
the
not,
meetings for the different representatives, even for the Board of Trustees?
No,
Their
the
meetings?
But-
Board of
like
Trustees,
city
they don't
council
do it.
and-
I'm
okay.
sure they
Yeah.
don't do it because that's something they live beneath the radar screen. The other thing
Yeah.
that we need to know is why would you want to be on a state center community college district board like the gentleman you mentioned that has the waste? He was served on some other waste board or something like that. Waste.
Mr. Nishinaka. Mhm.
Yeah, and several other boards. Why is this one so important to him? How long has he been there?
Okay. Let me
And
go
why
back
is
to
this
that.
one so important to him? And see, those
Well,
kind of
there are
things.
some important perks that come along with being
Thank
on
you.
this
That's
board.
what I
After
want
you
to get
acquire
to.
a certain number of years, there are
Yes.
some
That's why
very
there should be
important
term
perks.
limits. That's why
No,
I go
no,
back to the
no,
term limits.
no,
Forget the perks. It's
no.
about serving the people. If you're really there to do what you're supposed to do, and that's the problem. That's the only problem I have in politics, when it comes to no term limits, because people get comfortable and they are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And I'm convinced that
you're a good
because
buck passer.
no, listen, I'm convinced.
You're a good buck passer.
Buck passer?
Yes.
No.
It's the public's responsibility to
But
keep
it is
that
the
foot buried in
public
the
title
rear
that
end.
people have, and they use it to their advantage to do whatever, like what we talked about in the beginning.
That's not politicians.
Well, and I'll say
I
this.
still think they're using their title.
I don't care whether you serve for 2 years or 20 years. There are certain perks you just should not get. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
If they tell us, we can talk about what the perks are. I don't want to talk off the top of my head because there are things that I have been told I don't know for sure if they're true.
Right.
But I don't care how many years you serve. It's not an 8 to 5 job. You shouldn't have medical benefits. That's just my feeling. It's not an 8 to 5 job. You shouldn't have. There are certain issues that I take with. Again, I don't care if you serve 2 years or 20 years. It is not. There are perks that I think are attached with it that should not be.
So how are you going
Certainly
to
not.
attract?
So
One of the reasons
now-
they have those is to try to attract the best possible people to serve. So they use that as an enticement to get people to take away from their time to be a part of something that's beneficial to the community. And in return for that, then they said, well, these are the perks that we're going to. The citizens have said they're going to. The state legislatures have said they're going to give you.
You know what? In order to serve, you should feel passionate about what you're serving on. Now, I'm not saying that
That's what's
if
missing.
you have to, if it's
Instead of just
mileage,
getting the title.
it's reasonable to pay people for their mileage. It's even reasonable to give a stipend for time. But beyond that, you are serving because you have a passion about this and because you are concerned about making your community better. It shouldn't be about, I'll get this much per month, or I'll get to go to all these different conferences and somebody else is paying, or I'll get. It shouldn't be about that. And as far as attracting the best people, we say that all the time. But you know what? We can look at politics today and see in a whole bunch of places. These are probably not the best people. They're the people who have the money and the influence. There are some elected I would rather have, my neighbor serving who knows what the community is about and who goes to church in the community and who has family in the community and who has lived there for decades. I'd rather have that person who really knows and cares about the community serving than that person who got into the office because they had the money and the influence.
Right.
So you don't always get the best person just because perks and whatever.
But and I agree with you. I'm playing devil's advocate.
Oh, you
with
agree?
You there.
Wow.
But I agree with that. That those are the kind of people you need to serve. But it's tough to take something away from someone once they've had it. Once the system has had that in place, it's the very people that have to make that change are legislators. Do you think that they're going to say, okay, we're going to be able to get it, but we're going to stop these other people who are public servants from getting it because we just don't think it's a good idea for you to get it. But yet, you turn that around and you look at the state legislators, the assemblymen and state senators, look at their salaries and look at the perks that go along with that.
Right.
They're not going to take away from the guy beneath them because it's like this. Today it's them. Tomorrow it'll be us.
But you know what? But there is a difference, and I think we need to appreciate the difference. Someone who is a state legislature, that's your 9 to 5 job. In fact, that's your 7 a.m. to midnight job.
Oh, really?
But we're talking, they do a lot more.
I'm glad you qualified it.
Okay, but it does take a lot more. It's supposed to be.
Most of
it
them
does
have
take a
another
lot
job
more
too.
hours
They don't
to
have
do.
that just a sole job. Most of them work other jobs too.
Yeah, but I really think that there is a difference between a state senator and, with all due respect, someone on the board. They just don't have to give as many hours. They just don't. There's no two ways about that.
Yeah, they could. They should. They just don't.
And again, while that phone is ringing, I know we're coming up on the top of the hour, the second hour. That number to call in is 559-266-8888. Again, that's 559-266-8888. You are listening to Valley Black Talk Radio here on 88.1 FM KFCF Radio. And we are talking about some pertinent issues that are definitely involving how we as citizens not only are voting, but learning the process and learning the system so that we can call it out and make people accountable. Did he grab that? Did he grab? Go ahead and grab
Can
that.
I
Joe.
do that?
I don't know. Because Mel, okay. There's like phones ringing and Mel is okay. So we're going on I guess we're going on a brief break, and so we'll be right back. So whatever caller is calling in, we will definitely get to that call. You are listening to Valley Black Talk Radio here at 88.1 FM KFCF. We'll be right back. We're back. You're listening to Valley Black Talk Radio here on 88.1 FM KFCF, and today is Monday, March 3rd, 2014, and we are here with Mel's program. He's always on the first Monday, Mel Sanders, and he has invited myself, Dudley N, and Jewell Riversmith as hosts to talk about the meeting that occurred this past Saturday, special meeting. Number of events, actually, in regards to the Chancellor of the State Center Community College District, Dr. Deborah Blue, and being able to discuss some of the community issues that were happening and the concerns.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about how the community was taking the information. When you were there, how did you feel the concerns were told?
Obviously, I think the concerns are valid. I think that there are questions about the process. And here's my thing, and I just want to be real clear in this. I had a few people say to me today, people that are close to me, well, you know, why do you think it's race related? And it you know, and here's what I want to say. It may or may not be race related. Unfortunately, in this society, race and racism is sort of an academic thing. You know, people say, well, I know it goes on, but they don't recognize it. You know, they don't recognize
that is racism.
They don't recognize that is racism. And I think sometimes we as African Americans automatically jump to racism when it may be race related. And here's the difference that I want to make. Racism is, to me, is active, is evil, and is intentionally evil. It's direct. There are issues that come up in our working and living close together that are because we do not have a melting pot. We like to go around saying, oh, we have a melting pot. We're a melting pot.
But there's still that ignorance there of cultures and understanding
yeah, exactly.
and barriers.
We're not even a melting pot, and I wish we would abolish that. We would not say that anymore.
That word should be abolished,
What we
period.
are is a puzzle. We all have edges, and we try to fit together. But here's the difference. Black culture is its own culture. American or European or Anglo culture is its own culture.
Sure.
We have different behaviors and different ways of doing things. And often when we work or go to church or whatever, when we come close together, those edges rub. And it is because, and no people is a monolith. No people are a monolith. So I'm not, but I'm just saying, by and large, there are behaviors that we have that are different from the majority culture.
Sure.
And when we come together and those things rub, it is not necessarily that the I'm just going to say the white person is saying, I don't like black people. That is too simplistic.
That's the
no,
direct
it's not
racism.
that. It is that
Race related.
we don't recognize our personality differences. And so when we clash, instead of the majority culture being able to say, here's one place where we don't think alike, we don't behave alike, but how can we make this work?
Or people stereotype because of race relations and what they know or what they were raised on and their belief system and how their parents told them how to treat this certain group of people. Whatever the case is. And then it's still ingrained in the brain. Because let me tell you, some folks, and I'm just going to say, I'm not going to put out names, individuals that are, again, that are whether a part of the staffing or Board of Trustees had this feeling that all of us came from a certain area of town. Now, mind you, the African American population in Fresno and Fresno County alone is spread out. We're not all just from one area of town. It's not just one concentration of town.
Yeah.
You know, I don't particularly, I have my company in West Fresno and or in that District 3 and eventually move there. But I don't live in the West Fresno area or in the District 3 area. And there's a number of people that were there at the meeting that do not. So I want to make sure we break those race relations out of the water and those stereotypes out of the water, because I don't want any misunderstanding based on that.
We have stereotypes, we have preconceived notions, and again, what happens, let me just give you an example. We joke about, black people, we're always late. Well, you know what? Well, if you do some research, you will find out.
And let's hold that thought. Let's make sure we get the caller. I didn't realize Mel finally got the caller on the line. Thank you, Mel, for finally getting the caller on the line. Caller, welcome to Valley Black Talk Radio. Thank you for calling in.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
I'd just like to make a comment about the board member, Ron Nishinaka. He's been very known as Nish.
It's very muffled.
I'm a member of that area that he resides in. I'm a former student of his at Rupert College.
Okay.
And he's one of the most hardest working, most passionate people you'll ever meet. And I really think it was kind of wrong for you guys to direct your anger at him. He's a great guy. He's a big, I don't know, I can't say enough great things about him. And I just felt it was a little wrong to target him.
Okay, well, let me ask you something, caller, because I didn't hear the same thing you heard. I didn't hear
that either.
But let me ask you this. Do you believe that board members should be held accountable to the people that they serve? You have a problem with that?
Yes, I do. And
why is that?
Board member, he attends every event, go to football games. You can see him there.
Football game, you said?
He'll be standing. You can go.
He said football.
That man will be there. He is very passionate. He is very hardworking. He is the most dedicated person I have ever met.
I don't think we directed any anger towards him.
It's about responsibilities. Go ahead.
I really have to say something.
Right.
First off, caller, please, I have had dealings with Mr. Nishinaka.
True.
We haven't said anything about him.
Yeah.
All we said was that his term is up. I don't think that's being angry.
Let me say that I have had dealings with him.
He should be sitting on this board or that board, and if he should be getting insurance or this. I mean, it was.
I don't think we directed that towards him.
She said all board members. She didn't say him.
We were referring to all board members. We weren't directed towards him.
That was her opinion.
Comments about him.
No, we didn't make any comments directly about him.
The
only direct comment that was made about was in regards to his term. He started his term in 2010. His term is up in 2014.
Okay.
We have a duty as a media. I need everyone to know that. We have a duty as a media representative to be able to report to people the terms and how the process works. That's why we're here tonight, because the process is not working. This is what we're addressing.
Exactly.
That's it. We're not pinpointing. I don't think I was pinpointing that particular board member anyway. That's not the one that's even in contention here.
And I want to say, to me, this is a great example of what I'm talking about when I say we have cultural and behavioral differences.
Right.
Nobody, I know Mr. Nishinaka. I am very fond of him. and I think of him warmly.
Right.
Nobody here, as far as I heard,
No, I didn't say
said
anything
a
directly to
single negative thing about him. We're talking about the board and the political process. And I find this when black people speak up, if
All of
you
a
say
sudden
if you say you stepped on my toe, we're an angry black person.
Right. I don't think that's fair, though.
I don't think it's fair either. And
Right.
again, that is what so perturbs me about our very shallow discussions about race in this society. We're a melting pot. We are not.
No, we're
we
not.
talk differently. We behave differently. And if you would recognize that and understand it, then you would know that when we're talking like this, we're not angry. We're not carrying torches.
Right.
We're not after somebody. We're concerned about the process, and we're stating that. I don't understand why we get
I don't
branded
either.
as
In fact,
angry and
in
mad.
fact,
And
he's only been on there for 4 years. I don't think that's one of the board members I'm talking about when I'm referring to term limits.
Yeah.
If you want to start bringing out names, you can look at Patterson, who's been on the term since 1983. Let me address who I'm talking about.
Thank you.
Okay. If we want to be direct. Now, and he's with Area 6. That's the Clovis area. That's like the Centerville and Minkler. I think that's too long. And that's too long for anyone. And that's not even pinpointing Patterson himself. That's pinpointing the term limit
he
itself.
could be fantastic.
Right.
That would still be too long.
But let's take this other call. And now that we've clarified that with the last caller, and thank you, last caller, for calling in, but it is important for us as media representative to clarify.
Right.
All right. So, caller, welcome to Valley Black Talk Radio. Hi, you're on the air with Valley Black Talk Radio.
Hello.
Yes, hi. Good evening.
Hi, it's Oliver Baines. How are you?
Hey, how are you doing? Oliver Baines.
Well, I wanted to just call and just make myself available for any of the conversation if it was appropriate.
It would be the best time,
Yes.
being that you were there, and if you can clarify, because I know some things were addressed in regards to even I have to bring up the proclamation issue, and I don't think we got to talk about that, Mel, in this program, but it's significant and it's important that we talk about it, so it's a perfect timing for Honorable Oliver Baines, District 3, to talk about it. So, yes, chime in, please, your feelings about everything that's happening.
Well, obviously, I'm disappointed in the way that this entire process has been handled, in my opinion, by a public body. I think that's probably more than anything what bothers me the most. We have what many would call a relatively successful public figure, the Chancellor, who is being her job is being threatened essentially for things that we honestly don't know. We don't know why. It's disappointing. And I've been just shocked by the whole process and saddened by it.
Can you be specific so that the listeners who weren't at the meeting or haven't watched the video have a distinct understanding of what we mean by process?
Well, and most of the process is speculative because it's really been most of their discussions have been in executive session, and I know I have a sense that the trustees would rather not have to make their comments publicly. Matter of fact, I believe that to be the case. I believe that because of the nature of this, and because I don't believe that the complaints of the Chancellor really have would probably not fly in the face of most people overall. I think that the trustees have been able to have a lot of the discussion privately, and a lot of the public will never really know what transpired, and I think that's unfortunate. Because from what we see and from the feedback that we have from the faculty, the staff, and other community leaders, we see a successful Chancellor. But there are apparently some board members that see something different, and we're not privy to that.
So do you feel that there perhaps is a misuse of the at-will that you can use on an employee? There's a misuse of that due to personal preferences, personal opinions, personality clashes? Because that's what we're hearing, and these are from reliable sources.
Right. I think there's a lot of that. As a matter of fact, I think there's a lot going on behind the scenes where it would point to much more personality conflict more than actual performance conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least in my opinion, from what I've been able to gather, if there are performance conflicts, I believe that had the chancellor been given an opportunity to correct those, that they probably could have been fixed, because we're talking about a person who does not have glaring miscues in the public, at least that we can see. And she came into a situation where the district was in complete and total disrepair. She stabilized that.
Financial crisis, in fact, they were in.
Yeah, they were in very severe crisis, on the brink of losing accreditation for some of their campuses, and trying to gain accreditation in others. And for her to marshal that effort to stabilize that is quite extraordinary. And it almost seems as though the reward for that is, well, thank you, but now it's time for you to go. And for reasons that are really, in my opinion, for the most part, unclear.
Right.
Or at least they can't be articulated clearly, and haven't been, to me at least. So she's a high-level public figure, and in my opinion, unless there are some things that are publicly happening, I don't necessarily think that she deserves to be treated this way.
I have to agree with you. And, just like you were cornered off by a board of trustee in regards to your proclamation, I know that even one of the other community members who spoke out and just was in support of Dr. Blue is being cornered on Twitter about her tweets and being questioned about what she's putting on the Twitter. So is there a borderline, and when does it become offensive, or it just seems like there's a sensitivity barrier, which seems like there is something to hide? It makes it appear as if there's something to hide.
Yeah, I mean, you brought that up, the board chair, Pat Patterson, which in my opinion, was just a very odd discussion. That's the best way for me to characterize it with him. Questioned me about the fact that the proclamation for the chancellor was actually on the agenda for the Wall of Honor celebration. And he even, he said that he thought that my proclamation that I delivered to the chancellor took away from the event, which is such a very strange sentiment to have from a board chair of their executive. It's very, very strange, and I don't ever. As a matter of fact, I've given dozens of proclamations, and I can tell you that that's the first time any such conversation has happened. And it just was. It begs the question: how could the chair of that board not celebrate and have pride for the institution and the chancellor at a proclamation delivered by my office? How in any way could that be seen as an offense to that event is beyond me, actually. But he felt that way, and I would suspect that maybe he isn't a fan of the chancellor, But to have that reaction, in my opinion, is totally misplaced.
And maybe bring up that you also had awards for the other honorees that evening, the Wall of Honor honorees, and this was during Black History Month. I also want to point that out as well.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it was a very strange discussion, and I'm not sure that one should have to defend a proclamation. I mean, I can give proclamations to whom I choose and when I choose to, and although I made that very clear to him, just the audacity for him to even ask me was pretty shocking to me.
Did you say it that nice? Boy, you're a patient guy.
How would you have said it, Mel?
Oh, it would have been a little more different than that.
I do need, I want to make one point of clarification or accuracy. Actually, State Center has not been in financial straits. It has not
been. I'm
we
talking about, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we have, as a district, obviously, like many other districts, suffered in terms of loss of state funding during, the 2008 or 9 through like 2012. However, one point that has sort of been a point of contention is that State Center had a larger reserve than most other community college districts in California, and many people felt like they should have been tapping it more so that, for example, employees didn't begin having to pay a portion of their health care and different things. The point was they have a lot of money in reserve, and actually that's a good thing. Thank goodness for it. But so I just want to clarify, Dr. Blue
However,
did come along
she did
and
come
do
into
some
the
other,
financial
right, and the whole
ruins of
accreditation
some of the,
thing,
right.
Definitely,
Yeah,
definitely.
Because even other sources said the same thing as far as the financial crisis in different areas that were apparent in 2010 when she.
Well, listen, I think by the metrics that you measure a top executive by, I think that she is exceeding those metrics in a commendable way. And
yes.
From everything that I've been told, I mean, she got a stellar review in June of last year, which you're talking 6-8 months ago. So it's kind of hard to believe that within that time frame, without some major public debacle, how a top executive could unravel her position, can unravel that, and it be completely outside of the eye of the public or faculty or staff, because you don't have staff or faculty outcries. You may have some unhappy people in some pretty high positions, but as far as the overall organization is concerned, it's very healthy.
Right.
So again, I mean, it's just, to me, very, very shocking. It's really a disappointment. Very sad time in Fresno's history, in my opinion.
I agree.
And what do you think should be, to prevent what's happening, what should the citizens do at this point, especially in particular their area representatives? What is the next step so that we can proceed with change and be able to have some type of healing through this? Because this could happen again if we just decide to, well, it's all over and nothing we can do. And I don't want people to feel that way. What can we do, Baines?
Well, I think that's up to the Board of Trustees. It's really going to be up to them to see if they're willing to enter a dialogue with the community about this. It's really up to them. I mean, if it were me and I were on that board, I certainly would first be wanting to dialogue with the community over what has happened, and listen and allow people to have their voices heard, and the board give a response. I mean, this was, ultimately, I think I don't think they're going to terminate the chancellor. I think that there may be some other arrangement if the reference on the board agenda is correct. They
right, the special meeting tomorrow.
Yeah, special meeting, but now it's not for dismissal, termination. It's for
amendment.
But to be quite honest with you, I don't necessarily think that's in the chancellor's benefit. I think that she may have been pushed in a direction, unfortunately. But I think that that board is going to have to show some leadership. Now, whether it exists on that board or not, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how interested they are, in my opinion, in healing what the perception of their board is, and at least in this community. And it's going to be up to them. And they may, and listen, they could do something or nothing. They could think that, hey, when it's all said and done, this thing will go away. But I don't necessarily know if it should. I think that quite honestly, the board. Probably this should be a lesson for them, and just kind of how to handle these types of issues with this not being a board unanimous board consensus, with this being a contentious issue, with it being kind of handled in the manner that it was. I think the public owes, and the chancellor certainly owes more of an explanation than what's being provided.
And then how do you feel about even the chancellor being told not to show up to the special meeting, even though it was a public forum as far as the open session, and being told not?
Yeah, I think that goes to show to the and I think that was a decision made by the board chair. In all honesty, and I think that goes to show to the level of respect that she probably does not have from the board and probably the board.
And that's the hardest part, wouldn't you say? You're trying to lead and be a leader, but the people beneath you, your own staff, won't let you be a leader, won't let you lead them. That's got to be challenging.
I'll tell you, to be honest with you, for the chancellor, being in state center under those conditions, it probably wasn't ideal for her. Unless she was prepared to kind of live in a foxhole with this board, for the rest of her time there, and she shouldn't have to do that.
Sure.
No.
I'll be honest with you. You're talking about a woman with a tremendous amount of class and who's done a fantastic job, and she deserved a little bit better than what she got from this board. And it's unfortunate. So I think that even if the chancellor makes a decision to move on or whatnot, whatever agreement is reached, I think for her it may ultimately be a sigh of relief in the way she was treated by some of those board members.
We appreciate that.
And that's unfortunate.
That is unfortunate.
And maybe the real lesson is this community should have got involved and
Much sooner.
Much sooner.
But everything really happened really quickly.
Yeah, and we have to, mind you, a special meeting was called, on that Thursday, and what Mel has enlightened to us is that really, according to the Brown Act, it's emergency meetings that can be called within 24 hours, but technically, special meetings you're supposed to be given a 72 hours, so we want to check I'm sure Mel knows that, his facts and all those things to be clear, but I hope there's no manipulation there, no violation. That would be of a concern.
Well, I mean, listen, I don't know. I don't know if it was. I just, I think that, what our community probably should have learned is we should have been paying a little closer attention to the workings of the state center board. It's probably one of those boards that doesn't get quite as much attention as some of the other ones. And here we had a top executive there that was doing a pretty darn good job. It really made a priority for diversity. Which quite frankly upset a few folks. And when we probably should have been watching a little closer, and we weren't. So I think there's a lesson here to be learned for our
terrible lesson, though. I don't like these type of lessons.
And it's unfortunate that instead of celebrating the diversity and the openness of thought that brought her into the position in the first place, and that's not to say she wasn't qualified. We don't get stuff we're not qualified for. So that there's no question of that.
Well, I was told that they even didn't want to hire, but she was the most qualified out of all of the potentials in 2010.
Okay. And instead of celebrating that and saying, wow, look at us in Central California, that it has become this. It's a stain. It's a stain.
Yeah, it is. It is a stain, and it's like I said, it's very, very, very unfortunate. Unfortunately I've lost a couple hours of sleep over this.
We all have. I haven't slept yet.
It bothered me quite a bit the way that this was handled.
It bothered me so much. AMP-TV was rushing to get this online as of last night and on TV, just so that people could know what was going on, be informed. That's how much it bothered us.
I appreciate you all's coverage on this, being there, literally being at the meeting.
Not a problem.
Some interviews. I got a chance to watch the coverage. I thought it was fantastic.
Fantastic. Yeah.
AMP-TV. I really, 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 it's a service to the community that to have you all there. And I think on this one we may have been too little, too late.
Yes.
And that's sad. But I don't think that we should. I think that if people still have something to say, that should make their voices heard, and they should find out who their trustee is, and make sure that their trustee knows that they are now in tune with these decisions, with the decision that the board actually makes,
and paying attention.
Yeah, and paying attention, because and we need to be more mindful of all the boards and commissions that exist, and make sure that they're doing things properly. Because, like I said, I think it's our chancellor fell victim to some personality, more or less personality conflicts of a few key individuals, and before she knew it, she was literally being served on the menu, and
gosh,
and that's too bad.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, it really is.
Well, we appreciate you. We consider you also one of the leaders of the community, and you are everywhere. And this isn't even part of your. When we look at Baines at this meeting in Clovis, he's having to represent everybody. And so you said that earlier, Jewell, when you were
he's
talking.
Everywhere and he's accessible, and he's not my counselor. Well, he is, because he's the only one I know.
Right. So we appreciate that about you. And you have to be totally exhausted because you literally are everywhere. But we appreciate that. We do.
Well, you know what? I appreciate you saying that, and you were there, Julie, at the fundraiser at the museum on Friday, and I take very seriously the fact that I'm an African American elected official, and I represent. That's my other constituency. It truly is. It's not just because I'm black. That's my other constituency.
Right. We appreciate it. Thank you, Oliver, so much. We will continue. And you got to still come on Valley Black Talk Radio. Just let us know what's happening on your end in the community and some things that we need to focus on as a community to help our community.
Anytime you ever need me, Miss Julia, I'm always here.
Thank you.
And I cannot leave without calling you Little Oprah.
Thank you. You sure did call me Little Oprah. I'm like, okay. Caught me off guard on camera.
Listen, y'all, this is our Little Oprah.
Amen.
We need to support her. We have the next Oprah right here.
Yes.
So it's happening right before our eyes. I'm just glad I'm gonna be able to be part of the story. I remember when. But anyhow, you all take care and have a good night.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Right.
And right after the short break, we will be back at the last half hour. You can definitely call in. We'll give you that number already. You are listening to Valley Black Talk Radio here on 88.1 FM KFCF. We'll be right back.
This is listener-sponsored radio KFCF Fresno, owned and operated by the Fresno Free College Foundation.
And we're back for the final segment of Valley Black Talk here at KFCF 88.1 FM, Free Speech Radio for the Central San Joaquin Valley. I'm Mel Sanders along with Julie Dudley Najib and Jewell. Why do I always want to call you Oversmith? It's Riversmith. Why do I do that?
Only you. You've only called her that.
Overlord.
But nobody's ever called her that. I'm trying to figure out why does everybody want to call her that?
I always catch myself when I get ready to say. I always want to. I don't know what it is about them, but I guess it makes me nervous. When you're around beauty like this, I guess it can happen to anybody.
Oh, stop! Stop it!
It's that feminine.
Great excuses. Great excuses.
Yes. But we've been having quite a discussion here,
Indeed.
And it's been some real interesting conversation. And Brother Kayende, if you can call me back. I didn't mean to hang up on you, brother.
Oh gosh,
and I know he wants to have a comment on this. So
please
call me back. We can certainly get you right to the top of the line here, so we can get you right on the air. But go ahead, Jill.
I was going to say, if people want to go to the meeting tomorrow, it's Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. Reedley College, located on 995 North Reed Avenue, Student Center Room 100. Again, Reedley College, 995 North Reed Avenue, Student Center Room 100. And the public will be allowed to speak during an open forum at 3:30 before the board goes into a closed session. The trustees are expected to announce unspecified changes to Blue's employee agreement before they head into their regularly scheduled board meeting at 4:30 p.m. So I don't know how they're going to, that's going to be a quick meeting. Like I said, at the special meeting we were at, Jewell, it was like 4+ hours. So I don't know how this one agenda item, which they've done twice now, the same agenda item, once January 16th and then again as of this past Saturday on the same agenda item. Yeah. I'm just wondering how long that's going to take. I'm wondering about that.
It'd be interesting to see.
But we have a caller, And I'm thinking it's Special K. No? Oh, he hung up again. Are you kidding me?
I did
Really,
it
Mel?
again. I went to put it on the
my
air and I hit
goodness.
the drop button.
Brother Kindy, I want you
I'm
to know
sorry,
this
man.
is no fault of myself and Jewell. I don't know what
I know
Mel
how hard
is doing.
it is, though. In defense of Mel, I know how
No,
hard
I'm not
it is.
defending him
I
right
just
now.
got
That's like the
careless.
second time.
I just hit the wrong
It's the second
one. I hit the
time.
drop button instead of the on-air button.
No defense
Call
for
me
you,
back,
buddy.
brother. Call me back. I won't do it again.
Yes, you
And this
will.
time we're just going to go right over the top of you guys when he calls. I'm just going to butt right in.
All
How
right.
about that?
That's
That
fine.
works.
That's fine. You know, Jewell, this is my concern. Even people wouldn't talk to the media because they were concerned about their jobs. I know I was a Fresno Unified employee for 15 years, and I would just go, I don't know, I still would say my opinion.
Yeah.
We can't be scary like that.
You know, I hope everything goes okay with me.
No, you'll
But
be
I
okay.
have an opinion,
Right.
and I feel like it is my responsibility.
It is responsibility and
to
the First
speak up.
Amendment right, and we have to be able to look at that and not be so scary about that they're looking at me.
Because they count on that. I mean, people in power count on people not in power being too scared to speak up.
Right.
You have to speak up.
And that's what will change.
Yeah.
So this situation will help us to look more finely at the details so that it doesn't happen again.
Exactly.
Whether it be the classified employee that's down here or the chancellor that's up here. But we have that
Exactly.
call, so I'm going to go
No,
right.
we don't, but we do have another one. Mr. Cal Johnson wanted to call
Oh,
in
great.
and chime
He
in.
was there too. Okay. Cal Johnson, please chime in. How are you? Welcome to Valley Black Talk Radio.
Yes, it's a real pleasure to listen to you this evening. I got in late, and I'm listening to the tail end of the program, and I heard someone talking about diversity, and the fact that you talked about I'm going to turn my stuff down.
Oh,
yeah.
You're getting the feedback, and remember we're on a delay, so it will probably interfere with. Yeah, go ahead and turn the radio down because it'll interfere with you hearing us right now.
Yeah. Oh, I'm still trying to turn.
I can still hear it in the background as well.
And one of the things that I would like to say, and as you remember, Miss Dudley, I was talking about a whispering campaign and other kinds of things that was going on. And these are things that I've heard. And when you get caught up in a personnel kind of thing, it becomes somewhat dangerous for those who are at the top of their keep. And when we think what the Chancellor is trying to do is bring in diversity within that institution, some people really do not feel that that diversity is the best thing without really saying that. And there are some underlying things that I've been told, but can't speak to that. But the underlying things that they felt that the Chancellor should have stepped in and made other kinds of decisions as opposed to the decision that took place. And when I made the comment the other day, when I said that no one board member constitutes the board, I was trying to let people know that they have a right to speak up. Because when the question was asked by one of the board members, where is the Chancellor? That means that somebody on the board, they were cut out of that decision-making process, and that decision was made by only one individual. So I'm saying that there are real concerns as it relates to how things operate. Maybe everyone doesn't participate in that board decision-making that should be going on. Maybe they're being led by one individual.
And would you say it's because of the newness of some of the Board of Trustee members that have only been on there for a couple of years versus someone who's been on there 20-plus years? And
I don't really know how to define that.
okay.
I'm just going on what kinds of things that I've heard.
Okay.
And the only reason I hear these things is because I'm still somewhat attached to the district because I'm on the selection committee for the Board of Wall of Honor.
Right.
And those kinds of things, and I still have some relationships there in the district.
Okay.
and I know that the chancellor, from my perspective, is a great chancellor. She interacts with individuals, and I know that sometimes I was sitting in a public meeting and someone said, I said, well, send that information to this certain office, and someone told me, oh, but she wouldn't get it because someone is blocking the information that she should be getting.
Right.
You see, so she is being sabotaged.
Right.
And when she's being sabotaged, it looks like she don't want to do her job. But
exactly.
The other day I was using the word, there's this whispering campaign. A whispering campaign can kill a lot of things.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Cal Johnson, for calling in. And he's absolutely right. A lot of people commented on that on Saturday, the Whispering campaign, and even Dr. Carolyn Drake, she discussed that, the challenges of that. And when you have your own staff working against you, which is what we talked about at the beginning of this program, that in itself is showing the direct sabotage. It doesn't get any clearer than that.
It does not get any clearer than that. And I just, again, I got to go back to this.
The race relations.
The cultural thing, because
you should. You know why? Because the same, what you're going to talk about, people were concerned about the, her name was the Nina Costa lady. And I had never met her. That was my first time meeting her. But when she was flapping her jaws at people and just screaming at people, that's unacceptable. I don't care who you are.
Wow.
You can't do that. You didn't know who I was. She didn't even know that I was media. But I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to say your name on the air because I can, because I saw you in action. I'm going to call you out on that. That is unacceptable for her to treat people that way and to yell at them and to be rude. We're not rude to you, whatever the case might be. And to insinuate wherever you think we're from, on what side of town, is ridiculous. And for you to think that you can treat us that way is unacceptable.
What is her position? Is she an employee or is she a board member? Who are you talking about?
She's an employee under the Chancellor's office. So she's one of the secretaries, executive assistant for
and now
Chancellor
I
Dr.
have had
Blue.
dealings with her. I've never had anything but positive dealings, but I did not see what
I
took
was
place
watching it in action, so I was a little bit shocked.
Yeah.
And so I guess the comments of stopping the media from coming in, that's why they came and grabbed me and said, Julia, this is what's going on outside. I said, no, it's a public forum. The media
and I
can come
did see
in.
you get called out.
I got called out. I went out there. What is the problem? I talked to the particular station that was there. I said, no, you can come in. Of course, you can't go to closed session. No one can. But you're more than welcome to come into the open forum.
Okay. Yeah,
because
I did see you get called out. I didn't know why. And then
that's why I got called out
the media come in.
Right.
I was listening to an interview with Neil deGrasse Tyson the other day. He's the brilliant and erudite astrophysicist who we see a lot on public television, and we hear him on public radio. And he was discussing the fact, it was an interview.
Okay.
But the interviewer brought up the fact that he had recently declined an invitation to speak at his elementary school. And why had he done that?
Yeah, why would you do that?
And he explained that when he was at that elementary school, he was a bright and clever child who had difficulty sitting still and difficulty keeping his mouth closed because he was a bright and clever child. And instead of being told, and he got good grades in some things, not as good grades in other things, but good grades in math, good grades in his science classes. And instead of him being nurtured and recognized and having someone say, oh, you have a little trouble being quiet, but let's find something challenging for you in the places where you're strong, math, biology, something for you to do. Instead of channeling that brilliance, he was ignored and reprimanded. And he did not feel like he had a good experience at that school. He did not feel like the teachers encouraged or
so he had a right not to want to go speak there.
So why would he go there and say, wow, this was a great place? He said, if you want me to come and speak just to the instructors and tell them what I think would be good in terms of becoming better instructors, I'd be happy to do that. The reason I bring this up is because, again, we get so pigeonholed in society. We get so, and when the interviewer asked, he kind of seemed to be saying, well, what's your problem? Why wouldn't you go?
Yeah.
We need to recognize the differences that we have and appreciate the differences that we have instead of expecting that there is this homogenous American society. And if you don't conform, fit into what we consider as part of the homogeneity, whatever the word is, then you don't fit in. That really bothers me. And
well, I'm
I
glad
think
you
we
got
need
to say something about that.
concentrate
That's
on
very
yeah.
important. We have to have a whole program just on that, because
We
that
sure do.
itself, that brings a whole President Obama. There's a whole bunch of stuff with that.
Exactly.
The Brothers Keeper program. But let's get right to this caller. Thank you, caller, for waiting patiently, and welcome to Valley Block Talk Radio. You're on the air.
Well, Baragani, how's everything?
All right.
Yay!
Assalamu alaikum and all that good.
Wa alaikum salam.
Look, I really regret what's happening to our chancellor.
Mm-hmm.
She is just an excellent leader.
Yes.
Fine example of caring and respect and all of that. This is a blow to our community.
It is.
It's not just a blow to the district. It's a blow to our community.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we should not allow, if she gets terminated or whatever, we should still hold that board accountable. And I certainly want to know where our two board members of African descent is at on this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they are doing the right thing in terms of supporting her, because their constituencies, and I know they got others, certainly support them, certainly support her.
Right.
But I'm very, very concerned. I think we should not allow it to just rest. And we need to be close on who made these decisions and why. And in every effort possible, those that oppose the will of our community, we should do everything possible to make sure they never get back in office. In other words, as African Americans, we've got to make people pay when they mess over us. I'm just being very honest with you. Political pay, whatever we need to do. But this is a real blow to our community. I worked with her, worked in a division when she was. I was in another division, but when she was there, but she was Dean of Humanities, and she was just a wonderful, wonderful sister, and very competent, very, very professional. Everything you want in leadership, and as chancellor, she's even better. And we've been working with the Dudley program, and we're trying to make sure that goes, and the December program, those programs specific for our young people. And now they removed the key person that we've been willing and ready to work with us. And so this is something that we should not allow to rest. So that's what I have to say. I mean, I'm very upset about it. I wasn't able to come to the meeting. I was at a field trip, Black Arts, up in Merced University with my students.
Right, you did talk about that.
Could not make that, but did you? You said that there's a meeting tomorrow or something.
Yes, the meeting is tomorrow at 3:30, where people can voice their comments. This is at Reedley College. They moved it up because they're going to go into session with the special meeting. So to discuss the chancellor's employee contract.
That's at 3:30.
Yes, that's at 3:30 in Reedley.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So to make every effort. I'm going to have to cancel another meeting, but I need to be there.
Okay.
Because I have great respect for her
Absolutely.
leadership.
Absolutely.
I'm really unhappy about this. All right.
Well, we always appreciate your insight, and I want to say, Brett, thank you. This is our Dr. Kayinde Sawabi.
Yes.
I don't care anybody
Special
say
K.
he's our doctor, Special K. Thank you for calling in. Your words are always appreciated.
All right. Yeah, great show.
Thank you. Thank you. And so I know that people are wondering what the African American Board of Trustees are doing, and that's got to be hard because they can only say so much. That's a challenge in itself. Yeah. But I know as a public, I can say a lot from what I've been told, and so that's why I'm calling out names like the Nina Acosta, who was the one responsible for canceling thing on Dr. Blue's calendar. This is what we're being told because she's the one that's direct link to putting the things on the calendar. So I'm a little concerned about that. And deleting things from her calendar, that's unacceptable. And so that's kind of the root of all these challenges that we're having, because she's also the one that takes the notes for the board of trustees.
Yeah, I am a little surprised about that.
Oh, yeah, you should be.
If the board has a secretary, isn't the board secretary supposed to take the notes?
Well, Dottie Smith is the secretary, so I'm not sure that works. But
no, that's not the no.
But she's not the one that's going to take the notes, right? She's just the secretary.
The responsibility of the board secretary is to review before those minutes are adopted.
Right.
Review those, see if it meets her expectations as to what happened. Who transposes those for them or puts those together can be a staff person. They can have a staff person to do that, but the responsibility to say, hey, look, this is what I'm presenting back to you folks to approve or to adopt is the responsibility of that secretary of the board or the clerk of the board, whatever they call it. But let me ask you this. What do you folks think is going to happen to at tomorrow's meeting? What do you think will be the minimum and the maximum?
It doesn't matter because the comments are going to be stated like they were on Saturday. They're still set on their decision, and it is what it is. So
no, they changed.
Is that what you mean?
Oh, no. I think they've changed it. I think.
Well, yeah, they've changed it, but you're saying what's going to happen at the meeting. You're saying what's going to happen at the meeting.
Yeah, in terms of board action, what do you think board action is going to be at the meeting on tomorrow?
I think it's pretty clear. I think they're going to do something with her contract. I don't think she'll be terminated. I think they will amend her contract, but I don't think it matters in that, as Councilmember Baines said, with everything that has happened and with the lack of support that she is receiving in-house, I mean, I do not want her to leave, but I would certainly understand if she did. So whether they terminate her or whether they amend her contract, it's stressful. It's completely unnecessary. And why would she stay under these conditions? Now, I say that doesn't mean that everybody who can should not turn up at the meeting. In other words, even if you think it's a done deal,
you still need to show up and support.
Still be there to show support and to make sure that your voice is heard and that these people understand. If you feel like this process was poorly handled and unnecessary, you should be there to say it, whether you think it's a done deal or not.
Yeah, but I'm thinking, and normally what boards would do in a case like this, when they can't just outright fire someone to get rid of them, what they would do is they would take away some of the responsibilities. And they do that and not touch the salaries, because if they touch the salaries, now you open up for a lawsuit for saying, without you just gave me an outstanding evaluation, and now you're going to take away my responsibilities, and now you're going to cut my salary. That's normally what they do, and you just said.
But why not reprimand the staff members that are causing the areas of contention, like the Miss Costa? And then I'm hearing that there's also Teresa Patterson, which I had no clue, and that's another individual that's right under the chancellor. So we have to call those names out and do something about it, or this is going to keep happening.
Well, yeah, we have to do. I think what Brother Kindly said too. We have to hold those members accountable. Those board members have to be held accountable for their actions, because it looks like they do like most boards. They follow blindly the lead of either the chair, the president, or that lead staff person who is really the shot caller.
Okay.
So that's we have to just do our work. And that's going back to term limits.
Oh, the term limits, the ones that I talked about.
Yeah, the one you talked about. That's the one. At the end of the day, you still got to do the same thing. So why put in term limits when it's your responsibility as citizens to hold these people accountable?
I also wanted to make sure, while Mel's getting that phone call, I also want to make sure I clarify, because again, people are sending me text messages, so I know what's going on. Depending on how their policy reads, they can post notifications. It could say 24 hours. So that may not necessarily be emergency meetings, but phone's ringing. Of course, it always happens on the last 5 minutes of our programs. But I'm hoping maybe Brother Rich will give us an extra half an hour. This is such an interesting topic, and we have so much to discuss. But I just want to make sure I clarify that as well. Depending on what their policy states, which we have to clear, they can say 24 hours, not necessarily in regards to the Brown Act. So. Hey,
listen, I just had a caller that want to make sure we clarify the location and the time for the meeting tomorrow.
Sure, Reedley College. It is Reedley College.
Reedley College, and that is in Reedley.
That's correct.
And do you have an address? So for those that want to just put their, they got that phone like you got. They just put the address in, and it just takes them right there.
995 North Reed Avenue. Again, 995 North Reed Avenue. Student Center, Room 100. Student Center, Room 100.
That's what they wanted to know. Okay.
I hope they chose a room large enough this time.
Well, yeah, because when we first walked in, Mel, they had to move the room because it was absolutely huge. And so that's what I'm trying to let people know, that it is important that we fill up that room, that all of our bodies are there.
Right. Saturday morning they had a little bitty room.
They
were expecting 3 people.
Yeah, at 8 a.m.
And when 30 showed up, we had to reload.
Actually, it was 40.
Was it 40?
Yeah. I can't.
I just meant more than they expected.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And so more than what they expected
when they
came
moved
in.
the meeting from that location to another one, did they post that they moved it?
Say it again? No, they did not. They
to
did not
another
post
room in the same building.
Yeah, but people have to know. What if someone shows up and they didn't know where to go?
You know what? I don't know.
I don't know about that. I'll have to check to see if they posted. So that's something we should point out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the point is we want people to be able to talk and speak out, because we've heard of direct sabotage to the chancellor. That's an area that's concern for me. I wouldn't want anyone to be subjected to that, to be honest with you.
Exactly.
Someone who's doing a good job and changing our district and helping our young people, because that's important to me. So when I'm hearing names like that have come across to me, I don't know these individuals, except for I didn't appreciate Miss Acosta's attitude and I saw it in action. I don't really know Teresa Patterson like that, but I'm hearing the same names over again, that they're doing direct sabotage, and that's the problem that I'm having. Now, I am being told that they did post that the meeting did move, so I just want... See, I'm getting this information as we're going through.
I'm just checking.
All right, so people are listening, and I appreciate that people are listening. And so thank you for giving that information. It was posted to go to another room. And gosh, we're almost up for time, Mel.
We
this
are.
always happens.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah. So, well, you guys are going to be here next week.
Yeah, we will be here next week.
You'll be here next week.
To be continued.
To be continued.
To be continued.
To be continued.
We've had a lovely time this evening. I appreciate you two coming in, joining me, and really just taking the bull by the horns and riding with it, because I just sit back here and push the wrong buttons. But thank you so much, you listeners and you callers that listened in and called tonight. We thank you so much, and be sure to tune in next week when this team will be back in studio at 8 o'clock next Monday.
That's
from
right.
8 to 10 p.m., and I'm sure this will be a follow-up. But until then, we'd like to say good night. I like ladies' voices. That sounds so much better when they say good night.
And we also like to thank all the callers, and we apprate all of you.
Yes.
Thank you, and good
Good
night.
Good night.